Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. Today, we're going to talk to a guest who wasn't only just a college dropout once, he was a college dropout twice. He got into real estate and he never quit. He just kept going at it and eventually became financially independent. His name is Rusty Horn, and he's coming on today to talk to us about how you can get out of the rat race by investing in real estate and long-term assets. So if that's something that intrigues you and you eventually want to leave your family a nest egg and be able to live a more flexible life where you have multiple revenue streams coming in, this is an episode to listen to. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering designers and contractors in the outdoor living space. Through this show, I hope to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is trying to grow their company but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. On Outer Spaces, we're passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. My name is Joshua Gillow, and through my 25 years of dirt under the nails experience, I look forward to sharing tips, strategies, and other contractor success stories here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show. Today on the podcast, we have a special guest. He's going to talk into a subject which is near and dear to my heart, and I know many of you listeners out there. We're going to talk about how to become financially free, how to create long-term wealth, legacy wealth that will not just be for you, but also for your future children and family. And we're going to talk about using real estate to be able to do that. Now, I know that might sound a little bit crazy in the beginning because I know when I first heard that, I'm thinking like, yeah, sure. If I got tons and tons of money out there, I can just plug it into real estate. But what if I don't? What if I don't have tons of money and I wasn't born in the lucky sperm club with, a big endowment for my parents and I'm ready to invest? How do I get started and create passive income so that I can slow down in my life and I can start enjoying each and every day? So today on the show, we have Rusty Horn. He's an 8th generation inhabitant of an area we call the Slate Belt. We're up here in Pennsylvania. And he's a realtor. He's also an investor. He has an awesome story. He's an outdoor enthusiast as well. He loves to do everything outside, from hunting to fishing, quadding, everything outside. He's also raised by entrepreneurial family. So his parents had a business, so he kind of grew up in that model. So I'd love to bring him on the show today and talk deeper about that subject. So Rusty, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. So tell us a little bit about how you end up with 8 generations of family in one area. I mean, it's crazy enough. Most people move every 3 to 5 years. You know, you're a realtor, right? You see it all the time now. How do you end up in one area for so long? That's just so cool.
I think it's, back in the day, somebody planted their roots and everybody kind of stayed, back in, I forget the exact year, but it's 1800s. I guess there was, I don't know enough about it, but far back, I was told there was a portion of our family that arrived maybe turn of the century, 1700s going into 1800s. Mm-hmm. But none of us we don't really have that much history or, knowledge to it. So I'd say the mid 1800s is when we really kind of planted our roots here in Upper Mount Bethel Township. Mm-hmm. We were farmers. Most people throughout the family did other things, carpentry, farmers, things like that. Like I said, everybody kind of stayed around, and here we are, 8th generation.
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That really helps you build relationships within your environment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Within that area.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have, generational friends and extended family, and, you create connections. And, there's people I do business with that my family's been doing business with for 3 and 4 generations, and that's rare too.
Yeah.
So
talk about rapport.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
Like you're born right into that option, right? They're like, we know you're so-and-so's kid. We're good.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I get phone calls like that all the time. They're like, hey, Rusty, I don't know if we can call you that, but I knew your grandfather and we called him Rusty. So that's why I'm calling you. And I'm like, great. I appreciate it. Yeah. Let's get down to it.
No, that's perfect for sure. So talk about with us a little bit about how you get into real estate, how you got into all of this. I mean, obviously in the Slate Belt area, it's a rural area for you guys that don't know. And it's not like you're in a big city where there's lots of space to do that. So tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate and what it was like growing up in a family of business owners.
Yeah. So, like I said, we've been around for 8 generations. My grandfather, Russell Horn, he started a business. So he worked in the Carpenters Union. He started his own business, Horns, Guns, and Ammo, actually in Richmond, right next to the Richmond Hotel in Mount Bethel.
Sure.
So he started there. He worked that kind of nights after he was, working as a carpenter and in the union with my great grandfather. He then saved up enough money, bought a parcel of land off of 512 in Mount Bethel, which was the future site of Horns Outdoor Center.
Okay.
So he, saved up, made a couple investments, sold a house, built a house, sold that, bought that land, erected the store. And then he ended up building a house directly behind that. So he, you want to talk about eat, sleeping, and breathing work. I mean, he built his house right behind the store. And he was there, I don't know, 60, 70 hours a week. I mean, just, that's what it was. That's all there was. So he started there, him and my grandmother, they started that business from the ground up in 77. And then my father came along, and he started working there. He also dropped out of college, started working in the family business. My uncle did as well. So my grandfather started doing well there, started making some money, and thought, I'm going to get into real estate. He had several friends, that were into real estate, had some rentals, obviously being around for 8 generations, you had some connections, you knew people, things of that nature. He had another friend, Ron Angle, who was, kind of like the big real estate honcho. He would go tax sales, sheriff sales, he'd find the deals, the wholesale deals. He'd go to the business owners and say, hey, if you want to get into real estate, I got this property. Here's the price. If you want it, tell me. Yep. We kind of joke around about it because he would come into the store when I was a kid and he'd tell my grandfather, hey, I got this property and it might be, 123 Main Street. In 15 minutes, you got to tell me whether you want it or not. Cause if you don't, I'm going to the next guy, So they, they became great friends. They knew each other since, I think Little League baseball. Okay. Very long time. And, that was a way they started doing deals together through real estate. My grandfather was out on his own buying rentals. So he would make money at the store, provide for his family, reinvest in his business, and whatever is left over, he thought, I am an entrepreneur. I don't have a 401k. I don't have a, retirement package, benefit package. So I got to invest in myself. So he started buying rentals in real estate. So his thing was, well, maybe I'll buy single family homes because I can sell one every other year and then I'll make a 1-year salary when I'm retired, so it'll be a good business model. So that's what he did. And he created a rental company called KBR, which is KBR Rental Properties. It was Keith, Brad, and Russell, which he, again, that was the retirement. It was kind of the same thing for my dad and my uncle because, they were in the business. So they also didn't have a, retirement package. So that was it. So my grandfather started that, built that up. And then, since he's passed, that's become my father and my uncle's retirement as well. Wow. So that's pretty much how I got into it. I'd say in middle school is when I, started doing all the grunt work, painting, clean outs, doing this, doing that. And I was always riding around the truck, so I was go pick up rent or go, check out a house or look at a house to buy, it was coming up for auction, whatever the case may be. Yeah. So I'd say that's probably how it all started for me and how it kind of piqued my interest. Seeing the day to day and the things that, he did and my dad got into and, Ron as well. So that was a big thing for me. I always knew that's what I wanted. Like in the end, that's what I wanted. Like I wanted to own real estate. I want to get into real estate. Yeah. How I was going to get there, I wasn't quite sure. I didn't know, at that point, like I said, I was in middle school, but in middle school, I knew that's what I wanted. Like that's where I wanted to be. And I can 100% sit here and tell you that I did not know how I was going to get there. Yeah. I just knew I was going to figure it out. Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, I guess, you can say fast forward a little bit. I was in high school, still, doing rental work, things of that nature. I was, I'd work at Horns Outdoor Center. During the week, I crashed and burned a lot of snowmobiles, so I had to pay off a lot of debts.
So we have to go into that story.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, so I crashed quite a few sleds, and the deal was I had to work them off at the store. So, and I kind of had told you guys before, like they could have been paid off long before, and I may have worked an extra 100 hours thinking I was paying off a snowmobile, but it was just a lesson learned.
Like your dad says, you work until I say you're done.
Yeah, and it could have been paid off 100 hours ago, and I don't even know.
You got to take us back to the story you told Zach and I about jumping the snowmobile over the one road. You got to take us back to that.
Yeah. So Springfield Drive, there was no houses right there in the fields or anything at all, except for the one side. So everybody was jumping the road. And I saw one part of the road was a little bit steeper, and I'm like looking up at the power line, the telephone pole and the transformer box. Like, man, that's up there, but I'll bet I can get up to it, you know?
So when you say jump in the road on the snowmobile, so you're talking about, and tell me if I'm
Hitting
wrong.
one side, clearing the road, and going right to the other.
The road is higher than the field, and
absolutely.
you're hitting it. It's
Yeah.
like a ramp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Right.
And I was watching everybody get up there. I'm like, yeah, they're getting up there, but I think I can go bigger, you know? So I drove around, and they're all like, you're nuts. So they're like, you're crazy. So I hit that jump, and I was going so fast when I was in the air. And I know this from experience, but I know this because there was a picture. My track was going so fast, and I was trying to hit the brake. I hit that jump. I was probably going 40, 50 miles an hour when I hit it. Like, it wasn't just some lollygag hop and a skip. I mean, I launched off that thing. And there's a picture out there of me, even with the transformer box on the telephone pole at the top. So like, I knew when I was in the air, I was like, whoa, kind of exceeded my own expectations, you know? So I'm like, whoa, this isn't going to end good. So I was hitting the brake trying to get the track to stop, because naturally it'd throw you forward, you know, so it leveled out. And I got to the point where I cleared the road, and I'm like, I can't level this thing out. So I just bailed. So I was like, I'm bailing. So I bailed. I hit the ground like as if I was sitting in a chair. Yeah. And the only thing I did was jam my thumb. Totaled the snowmobile. I was fine, jammed thumb, but the snowmobile was trashed. So I had to pay that one off. Yeah, so it was a lesson learned. Bad experience, but very valuable lesson. So
take us throughout the journey of college. I know, what did you go to college for? And, you know, what was it like when you're sitting in college?
Yeah. So I went to East Stroudsburg University to start. I was going for secondary education. I always loved being, you know, I guess in the educational atmosphere. You could say, you know, I loved coaching, you know, I loved sports. That was a big thing. I always liked helping people, you know. So I really liked that. And that was kind of the path I thought maybe I'd take. Like, okay, you know, maybe I'll go to school, be a teacher, you know, I'll coach football, and, you know, I'll have real estate too, you know? So that was kind of the plan at that point in time. And so I was in school at ESU for, I think it was 2.5 or 3 years. And it was just getting to the point where I was like, I'm not even having fun here. I hate this. Like, I do not like, I like the atmosphere and the environment of being around people. You know, I think I'm a pretty personal person, but it just got to the point where it was so dry, where I am like an experienced person. I don't want to sit and read a book and try to educate myself off the book, off subjects I will never apply to my life. Yeah, like that to me, I can't stomach it. I don't like it. I like stuff. I don't mind reading, but I want to read about things that I need, and things that are, you know, I find beneficial in the paths that I take and what I want to do. So I kind of got tired of it, and it came to the finals, and that at ESU, I'm pretty sure I took that final, and I just walked out. I didn't even care. I was like, I'm like AC/DC down Scantron. I'm out of here. Like, I'm gone, you know? Yeah. So and I didn't even care. I don't even remember reading my results, to be totally honest with you. Like, I just knew in my mind I was done. Like, I didn't read the results in emails. I didn't even check. I didn't care. I told my grandfather and my dad, I was like, I'm done. I'll figure it out, you know? So at that point, I went to, I didn't come back the next semester. I went to work for Nucor. My good friends of mine, their dad's own construction company. So I went to work for them late winter through the summer, and it was getting towards you know, the end of summer. My grandfather was like, hey, you know, if you go back to school, you get a degree, I'll pay for it. But if you don't, you got to pay it all back, you know? So I was kind of like, this is kind of like free education. Maybe I should do it, you know? So it got to that point, and I was like, well, I'll go to Northampton. I'll finish out. I'll take my credits that I can transfer from East Stroudsburg. I'll take them to Northampton, and I'll just finish like a business degree, something minor. I'll get a degree. I'll have my free education. I'm out of school, and I can move on with my life. So I went there. It was like one semester, and I didn't go to the finals. So I was like, I'm done. Like, I just had it. I couldn't take it anymore. School was not for me. Even when I was in high school, my favorite part about class was being there with my friends. Like, I didn't care about the schooling, you know, and you know, I'm not saying that's right, because in a way it's kind of wrong. Like, you really, you know, you need to get educated somewhere, you know, but it just wasn't my thing. You know, I just wasn't for me. So I got up, I left, never took the finals, just totally walked away. So now I dropped out of college twice. Right. So,
and you've got a bill now.
Yeah, now I got a bill. I got a good one for like 30 grand, right?
Yeah.
And change. So I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. So the whole way home thinking like, all right, so what am I going to tell my parents and what am I going to tell my grandfather? Like, he's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? You know? So I was like, okay, so I'm just going to act as if nothing happened for a day or two so I can mentally figure this out, you know, not tell them anything, let them think everything's fine, you know, everything's kosher. So then it got to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm done. You know, like I'm out of there. I'm not going back. So my grandfather's like, well, you know, you got a bill to pay, so you better figure out how you're going to pay it. My dad said the same thing, you know? Yeah. So I, now mind you, I was still coaching at school. I was coaching track and football. Mm-hmm. So at Bangor High School. And, I was working. I'd worked at Dunkelberg Sports Outfitter, through college at East Stroudsburg for a while. And then I had, quit that once I dropped out and I had started working with my buddy's construction company. Mm-hmm. So I was out at Dunkelberg's. Then, again, I had, quit the construction job to go back to school. And, I just then I had nothing for a little while. So there was a lull there. It was probably, I don't know, a few months, I'd say, where I was like, all right, I'm going to take this time. I'm going to figure myself out, figure out what direction I'm going to go, you know? So in that time, you know, I was doing things, odd jobs, again, doing stuff with the family rentals, helping my grandfather with this and this project and whatever. So, you know, like I was making money and holding my own, but I wasn't like saving money and I wasn't paying off debt. That's for sure, you know? So, and now mind you, I still lived at home. So finally got to the point where I was like, I need to, like, in poor words, shit, or get off the pot. Like, I need to figure something out today. I need to put a plan in place. Like I said, I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. So one day I was just like, man, maybe I should just get my real estate license, you know? And so I thought about it. I asked my grandfather and he was just kind of like, well, you really don't have anything else going on right now. So you might as well, you might as well try. So he's like, but you know, you got to get listings, you know, you're personal, you can communicate with people. But you got to get listings, you know, and you know something about real estate. So why don't you go for it? So I said, yeah, you know, I probably should. I had the same conversation with my dad. He said the same thing. So, then I had called up, Ron Engel and I was like, so what do you think? I said, my grandfather, talked to my dad and my grandfather. They both said, you know, I might as well try and get my real estate license. What are your thoughts? And, he's like, well, can you get listings? You know, same thing my grandfather said, you know, you got to get listings. You got to be able to sell the house. And I thought, yeah, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, I'm not a complete rookie to real estate. You know, I know a thing or two. So I think I can. He said, well, you know, if you think you can, then go for it, you know? So I did. So I went to, Scott White real estate, school. And, I took the 2-month course. I think it was like $400 or $500. It wasn't a lot of overhead, you know, it was $400 or $500, got you the course. Once you're done with that, you got to take the exam out at Harrisburg. So the course itself was easy peasy. Like I loved it. It was very, and now that was an educational course that I could stomach, that I was like, I'm into this, you know. It wasn't completely accurate as far as real life and textbook, you know, but it all made sense and I liked it. You know, I didn't know a single person in the class. I actually ended up having a connection with the instructor who taught it because he was friends and knew my great grandparents. Oh, wow. Because he had his family had a hardware store in Belvedere. So like, it was kind of like
a chance.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I go down to Bethlehem for this course and there's a guy who, you know, is connected, you know? So that was cool. That was pretty neat. And he was a great guy. So like I said, I went out to take the exam out at the Capitol there and I failed it 3 times. And so the first time I was like, I'm not studying, like this is easy. I was like, wow, that was actually a little hard. So the second time I was like, yeah, I'll make some flashcards, right? Did that. And I was like, man, I thought I aced this thing, but I didn't, failed again. I was like, man, I gotta study, you know? So I went, failed again. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, this isn't real life. Like, these questions on here were not real life. Again, I've been involved in real estate transactions. I've been involved in real estate and it just wasn't the same, but they want you to know the textbook, the legalities and the laws. Right. So after I failed 3 times, I was like, all right, now I got to study. Now I got to actually give a shit, you know? So
fourth is a charm. Right?
Yeah. Right. So I did, I studied, I highlighted out of the book, made the flashcards, you know, did the whole 9 yards. I even talked to some other people in real estate, picked their brain, asked them questions, that kind of stuff. And, I went back, I took the course then the fourth time, passed with flying colors. Like
Nice.
it was like I never failed it, you know? So I did that. And it was funny because some of the people in that room when I was walking out were like, this is my 9th time here and I just can't figure it out. I'm like, whoa, glad I got it on the 4th, you know? You know? So that kind of put things in perspective for me. And when that one guy walked out and told me this was the 9th time he failed, I was like, whoa, man, you know? So
the interesting thing, Rusty, about your story and what I'm loving so far, especially I hope the listeners are picking this up, that, you know, I'd consider you a very successful guy, right?
Sure.
In what you've done in life and all of that. The people that we, admire or look up to, we don't see all the failures. We don't see all the times when you just dropped out.
Yeah.
All we see is the shiny surrounding outside. And you're like, all you see is like, oh my goodness, they must have just blew right through because they're young and they're successful. And it's like, no, you kept coming back and hitting that wall. Would not stop until you got what you wanted. And you're like, this doesn't work for me. I remember in high school, when I graduated high school, I'll never forget, somebody, not my family, but somebody around me said, you know, you were going to regret leaving school. You were going to wish you were back in school once you graduate. And Rusty, I'm like you. There's not one day in my life that I ever wished I was back in school.
The only time I can say I wish I was back there was for high school football. That I eat, sleep, and breathe that. You know, like that. I just love that environment. But outside of that, forget it. Even
prison.
It absolutely was. And it was like I was even trying during season. I was trying to figure out how can I spend less time in school during football season, but I couldn't because if you didn't go to school, you couldn't play. You know, so
but you've got this insatiable appetite to win, right?
Sure.
And that's again failure, win. So listeners out there, if you're failing, if you're hitting the same wall over and over again, just keep hitting that damn thing.
Yeah,
it eventually will break.
Absolutely,
you will get through it or around it, one or the other.
Yeah, and it's to reflect on what you're saying is it's hard in today's world. Everything's perceived by an image. So social media, Facebook, Instagram, nobody posts their failures. It's a highlight reel. Like nobody airs out their dirty laundry. You know what I mean? So in reality, it's most people don't see all these failures. Like, hey, I'm not ashamed to say I dropped out of college twice. You know, I didn't know what I was doing for a couple months, and I don't care. Failure is the best teacher, hands down. It has taught me 100%. More than any course. 100%, absolutely,
100%. But being willing to be open enough, to fail,
and you got to embrace it.
Perfect,
embrace it. Absolutely,
one of the best teachers.
Yep.
So good.
Yeah.
Cool. So all right. So you've gone through. You finally got your license. Now you're getting into this real estate world. I know you have your family has real estate. You're kind of into it a little bit. So I want to make sure that in this conversation today, we get into how can somebody that doesn't have that background, get into it, because we know, you and I both know when it comes to real estate, there's no better vehicle to get you where you want to go than that.
Absolutely.
But it seems like a monster in the beginning. How do you break it down? How do you get into it? If I'm just a layperson, I'm out landscaping, I'm out contractor, I'm out in the world just doing my 9 to 5 or even owning a business. How do I even start with getting money together for it? How do I even start looking for deals? Like, what does that even look like? What are some tips you can give us?
Yeah. So number one is you got to put in the time. You got to work. You got to grind it out. For me, from the perspective of getting my license, having a real estate background, it was still hard. So, I had to compete with all these other local agents, number one. Number two, both my uncles were in real estate. My grandfather was in real estate. My dad was trying to buy real estate. Like I had family, I was all trying to get in real estate. Like it was like,
fighting for it.
Yeah. So, and like, there's, it gets to the point where locally there's so many people now in our area that want to get involved in it. And unless you actually are, again, working, putting in the time and making money, you can't compete. You can't just rely on a 9 to 5 and I'll save up in a couple of years. Like you gotta get after it. It's a very competitive environment. So for me, again, I was competing in the realtor arena, trying to make a name for myself, get people to call me, prove that I know what I'm doing and I'm very capable. And in the investor world, again, try to find opportunity. So in 2017, it was a little bit different than the post-COVID because there were still investment opportunities out there. So you could still find auction properties. They're reasonable. I mean, I was buying properties at $40,000, $50,000, $70,000. And that was back then, those were high numbers. Now you can't find one for under 130, 50,000. Just doesn't exist. So I think if somebody were to come to me today, which I do have several people, and I tell them the same thing I'm going to say here, is you need to be putting in the time, working your day job. saving your money, investing your money, and getting there. You're not going to just say, hey, I want to go buy real estate. Like it's just not that easy. So my advice would be, if you can establish your credit, you have good credit, find a good lender. If you can save up, depending on what the purchase price is, but if you can save up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, that's all you need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, without putting in that time, it's not going to just happen, So like I always tell people, if you have that little nest egg and you want to go buy an investment property, essentially if you put, if it only costs you 30 grand out of pocket to get into that property with a mortgage, that's what the property costs you. It only costs you that $30,000 because that tenant and the people renting and occupying it, they're buying it, they're paying it, they're paying your mortgage, your taxes, and your insurance. So to get into it, you just need to, again, put in that time and that work, get to that down payment, the $30,000, $40,000, whatever it may be. And that's essentially what the house costs you, or the building, the property.
I love that. I love it. I know my journey was nothing straight when it came to real estate. It was, my wife and I had our original first home, and it was a little house on a lake, little cottage. And we moved out. We wanted to start a family. And I was like, let's sell it. My wife's like, no, why don't we rent it? I'm like, I don't know. No one in my family has ever owned real estate except for their home. Right. So, she's like, why don't we rent it? I said, that'd be kind of cool to be a landlord. I love this idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we set it up and we got people in there. I remember the first time when we did this, we tried to do everything by the book. We looked it up, like how you're supposed to screen people, all of this. And the next thing you know, we screened this lady. I'll never forget it. Screened this lady, every red flag possible. Horrible credit. She's been, delinquent on this. And we're like, but she's so nice.
10 landlord-tenant disputes.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but she's so nice. So we're like, you can come in, no problem. We just need a security deposit and, you can go. She came in and they trashed the place, right? And it was a bad deal. We actually had to take her to court. She never showed up. She just vacated the property at a certain point when she didn't pay rent for a long time. And it was a big problem. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. We're selling this place.
Yeah.
Wife's like, no, we can't sell that house. We gotta keep renting. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, we'll do it again. And we've had nothing but exciting experiences throughout that process. And I said, I never want to be a landlord, but I love the idea of passive income, right?
Yeah.
Because my philosophy has been, if you can take 10% of your net in business and put it aside and invest that into long-term assets, right?
Absolutely.
And so you don't have to say, okay, I got to make $1 million tomorrow to get started in real estate. It's like, no, you could put $10,000 away a year that builds up over 3 years. You got 30 grand, you got a nest egg to get started.
Absolutely.
It's huge. And so it's like going that way and running through, that property for, I would say almost 15 years. We had that rental property.
That's awesome.
And it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like it was no fun at all. I hated being a landlord, collecting rent, all this stuff.
But it gets you where you want to go.
But it did, right?
Yeah.
The first one, and when I'd look at it, I'd be like, I got $100 this month for doing all of that. It wasn't worth it. I can make more of my business. Why would I do it? So my point in dragging this out is the fact that it was something that I wanted to kill for a long time. Over and over again, until a friend came to us and said, look, I have an opportunity, if you want, that we can invest in properties, or you can invest in properties, and there's a property manager that takes care of everything.
Yep.
For a percentage, they'll take care of everything for you. And I'm like, all right, wait a minute here. So all the stuff that I hate, they'll take care of for 8-10%.
Right.
I never have to meet the clients or the tenants. I never have to meet any of these things. I don't call the people. I don't get the leaky toilet conversations, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
I was like, because I love the idea of it.
Sure.
I just don't know how to do it. So anyway, we started purchasing at that point. I had, one partner at that point, and eventually ended up with a mentor, and we invested. But over a period of about 9 months, we accumulated 66, doors, residential doors. And it's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like a year ago, I was bitching about one. Now we got 67.
Yeah. When it happens, it happens.
Fast. And it was like, I had to learn how to deal with hard money. I've never dealt with that before, using other people's money at, stupid rates.
Yeah.
And then have to figure out how the hell I'm going to flip that around into long-term debt.
Sure.
And that was probably one of the most stressful times of my life, because we balanced that portfolio out over roughly the next year. So within 18 months, it went from acquisition to balance, and we're still balancing some of those properties, right? But my point is, in all of this, is I had no experience.
Yeah.
You had some family experience, but you still had to go out on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're willing to put the work in and go at something that you are absolutely scared to death of, it will be the best thing you ever do.
Yeah. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
You do.
100%. It's so cliche, but you have to. If you're comfortable, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's
100%. And so anyway, it's such a fun environment to be in. And I've lost my ass on some properties.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've had a couple that have burned down. Thank goodness no one got hurt.
Yeah. Right.
But the life happens fast.
It does.
And you're either going to get in the game and play it, or you aren't.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
My point in saying all of this is not to boost my own ego. It's to say, listeners out there, if I can do it, this guy that was born in the cornfields of Pennsylvania can do it. Anybody can do this.
Yes.
They just have to know why. And for me, it was to make sure that my family long-term would have, wealth. And that was the main thing.
Yeah.
It's already paid for, working in the right direction that way. But the point is that if you want this and this is what you want, and you don't want to be working in your 9 to 5 or even your own business forever, you have to put money away and put it into long-term assets.
Absolutely.
And real estate doesn't just provide you cash flow, right? Because you get paid by your tenant, and then you get, if you priced it right, you'll hopefully get a win. We're always targeting about 200 a door, right?
Yep.
So if you look at that and you're like, okay, that's what we're looking for each month. You also get the depreciation, right? So it comes off of your taxes, right? Tax benefits and appreciation, hopefully, depending on how you bought.
Up to like 27 years, I think it is.
Yep. So, but you get appreciation, so that asset grows. So if you buy a vehicle, say you go out and buy a truck or a car, the second you buy it, downhill, right? That value goes down, down, down. 10 years later, you sell it. If you sell it for pennies on what you paid for it.
Yep.
A house, on the other hand, historically goes up.
Yes.
Not always, but historically goes up. And so you get cash flow, you get a nice place to park your money that actually increases its value. Definitely keeps up with inflation plus. And then on top of that, you get the depreciated factor, which saves you on taxes. It's like the perfect storm.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people say, oh, well, I don't want to pay too much. Well, so there is a thing as paying too much, but there's also a thing where maybe you just buy it too soon because it's going to get there. Right.
Yeah.
And you got to, real estate is like the stock market. It's a market, so it goes up and down. So it's just a matter of when you sell it. So if you buy stocks and you lose on them, it's because you sold them at the wrong time.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with real estate. You just got to be able to weather storms and hang on to it. And if you want to unload a property and cash in, you sell it when the market's up. It's no different in the stock market,
100%. And there's many different ways to attack this.
Sure.
That there's different strategies is my point. Some people like to fix and flip, right? They buy, they'll just flip it and just fix it up and sell it for, a profit. That's fine.
That's how I got started. I mean, that was one of my methods.
Yeah. We did BRRRR. That was always we would buy, either buy the property, we'd renovate it, we'd rent it, and we would refinance and then rotate that money right back out and just keep rotating through, right? And just keep moving that money through. But so my point, and listeners out there, is if you're interested in this, there's a great forum you can go to, or there's a website and everything. It's called Bigger Pockets.
Yes.
It's a great place to go, biggerpockets.com. You can go out there and just get started.
Yeah.
I mean, there's long-term rentals or short-term. You've heard of Airbnbs, all that. There's midterms, which are, longer than it's somewhere in between, depending on where the market's at. There's so many things that you could find yourself in that you can insulate yourself. Because right now we've got a, downturn, economic downturn. And I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I know. So I'm like on that fence where like, I don't care, but I'm also watching because saying, hey, maybe there's some more opportunities coming right now. So maybe I'm just like on pause. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just kind of feeling it out, seeing what's going on. But that opportunity is coming. It's definitely coming.
And the crazy part is me being in business in the service sector, right? Outdoor living, landscaping, that kind of thing forever, 20 some years. We are always so open and fragile to the market demands, right?
Oh, yeah.
So as soon as people say stop spending, guess what the first people they stop spending with? Us.
Yeah.
All those extra things, the fancier cars, the nicer backyards, the upgrades to their home, they stop spending on that.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they pull back on. So we are always being blown around by the winds of the economy.
Yeah.
We're with having a portfolio, having just a few properties under your belt. You are insulated. You're like, well, if that money doesn't come in from that business, it's going to come in from this one.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with me in the real estate, in the realtor world, I should say. When the economy's going down, most people aren't trying to upgrade. They're not trying to say, hey, I want that big 5-car garage and I want the 25 acres and the this and that. They're holding tight. So the same thing with me. I'm not making those sales. The numbers aren't as good. So I now am relying on the investments I made in my portfolio. I know. So it's the same thing.
I think Warren Buffett said it, and I might be misquoting this, but the premise of what he said was, you're not truly wealthy until your money's making money when you're sleeping.
Absolutely.
Right. So whether it's a stock market, whether that's going to be real estate, whether it's in whatever it might be. So if you're working just for the money and it's not working for you when you're sleeping, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
You absolutely are.
And having multiple revenue streams is important because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I'm at now. Personally, I'm like, okay, I want something else. I want to go on another new adventure. And, it's not because what I'm doing isn't working or successful, because that's not the case at all. What I'm doing is correct. It is successful. I am going places, but now it's like I have more in the tank. So in my mind, I'm like, man, I want to go on another business venture. So that's where the crossroads I'm at now, because I've been building my own portfolio. I'm doing the realtor service, as an agent. And now I'm kind of, man, I want to do something else. And I don't know what that something else will be. I mean, it could be hot dogs, could be ice creams. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. But it's like, I want to do something else. I want to go another direction because again, I want that extra stream of income. I want something else. I want to go another direction.
And a new challenge.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
We're challenge junkies.
Yeah. Like I'll wake up at 3 a.m. Sometimes I'll pass out my recliner at 9, 10 o'clock. My fiance, I'll say 7:30, but I like to say 9. And I'll be up by like 2:30, 3:30 in the morning and I'm ready to go. Like I'm wound for sound. So like I use that time. I get on my computer, I do emails. I'll be searching for properties for clients, sending them out. Because that's like my quiet time. Nobody's calling my phone. So I can do whatever I want. I can go to the gym, work out. I can go outside and go to my garage, whatever, so that's my time. I use that time to try and get ahead for the day because come 7:30, man, that phone's on, and people are calling, things are happening. Yep.
So Zach, you've been listening here on, you're 24 and what does this all sound like to your perspective?
It's definitely interesting because I pretty much know nothing about this. I'm really curious, like what's the daily grind like? Like, what are you doing day to day? Because I mean, all these numbers and money, it sounds amazing, but I don't know what it really adds up to.
Yeah. So that's such a loaded question. So I know
a lot of it's networking.
Absolutely. So we were just talking about this yesterday. Yeah. So I was like, for someone to truly see the daily routine for me, you'd have to follow me around for at least a week, bare minimum, because it is such a roller coaster. Like there's days where, man, this is I'm having so much fun. Things are so crazy. It's just a thrill, Then there's some days where it's like, whew, boy, I don't know if I really want to get out of bed today. Like this is going to get ugly, So it's a roller coaster. So to really embrace and capture that image of the daily routine, again, you'd have to spend, a week plus, but what it consists of is, again, I'm usually up by 3:30. I try to fall back asleep for a little bit, but my mind's running. So I just can't, 9 times out of 10, I can't. But I'll find myself, I'll get up, I got to have a shower every day, start my day. If I don't have a shower, man, I can't start my day. So I'll do that. I'll go to the gym. I haven't been going to the gym the last few months because I don't have heat in there. I have my own home gym. It's been a little cold, so been neglecting that. But typically that's in my routine. And then I'll start making calls to contractors. Usually I'll call my dad or my uncle first thing in the morning, see kind of what's going on. Usually my one uncle, I have him on a job, or he'll be working on a project somewhere. So we'll kind of touch base. A couple of my other buddies that I know are up and out of the house, we'll touch base. My one buddy, Todd, he's a lender. So I'll, get in contact with him first thing in the morning, kind of see what's going on, see how our pre-approvals are working out with our new clients. And then once the world's really up and running at 9 o'clock, then it's, calling offices, going to the bank, calling with clients, whatever the case may be. And some days it's, I'm out the door at 5:30. I'm not back home until 9, and some days I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs thinking, man, I got everything done. There's nothing to do. So now what? And those are the days where I'm like, I need another business adventure, So like if I'm not multitasking, I don't feel as if I'm being productive. And that's me. It's how I guess it's how I'm wired. I always have to have something going on somewhere. I could be playing on my excavator on one of the farms, doing a project at a property or doing an excavator job for somebody else. I could be working on my rentals. If I have a flip house going, I'd be working there. In between, I'm showing houses, and I'm on the zoning hearing board for about the township. So I might have a hearing coming up, doing all my research, getting prepared for that, things of that nature. So it's really kind of all over the board. So to define what a day in the life is like, I don't know how to answer that question.
I know you said like if you're in the office, like it's probably not good.
Yeah, right. So if I'm in the office, the important thing is I'm either, filing paperwork, picking up escrow, dropping off escrow, whatever the case may be. But I'm not making money. So if I'm not out, I'm not networking, and I'm sitting at the office, I'm not making money because in today's world, like I think I made the comment, I would make more money sitting at the diner talking with people than I would sitting in my office behind a phone, waiting for the phone to ring. Like it just doesn't work that way.
What do you think separates you from like the typical real estate agent?
Oh boy, it's a loaded one too. In my opinion, what separates me is, again, I eat, sleep, and breathe real estate. And that's in all aspects. That's investment world, investing in flip houses or just land in general, being a landlord and buying rentals, having that knowledge and experience in the investment in the landlord world. And in the realtor world, knowing the rules, the laws, knowing what you can do for a client, what you can't do, knowing the values of the local market and the properties, and knowing banking, like knowing, okay, here's a property. I have a client who really wants it. What type of loan would this property qualify for? Because other than cash, because not all properties can qualify for the same type of loan. There's USDA, FHA, conventional. There's FHA 2 or 3K loans, which is like a rehab loan. So there's all different kinds. There's so much to know, be educated with in the real estate world that I think that's where that's what kind of sets me aside. I know all that. That's what I do. It's what I love.
Yeah.
So I think being that I can offer so much to a client more than just the average agent who just likes to sell homes. They just enjoy selling a family property, just a residential home. That's all they like to do. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Yeah. But that's all they have to offer. So I think being knowledgeable in all those other areas, I think is huge, because you're very you can really maneuver in different types of markets and with different clients.
For sure. So how do you get your leads mostly? Because I know you said you don't do cold calls at all, which is very rare as a real estate agent.
Jordan was like blown away by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he was like, so you pay Zillow? I was like, I do not pay Zillow. I despise Zillow. I will not. He's like, so you cold call? I was like, I don't cold call. You don't cold call? How are your numbers this high? I'm like, dude, I just do my thing, like that's it. Like, I work, I call people, I get on the phone. It's just, again, doing the right thing, saying hello to people, being nice to everybody. Like it's just a simple things that you're supposed to do, whether you're in business or not.
Right.
And being in business, it helps naturally. It's just the way it is, So I'm going to say my leads basically come from that type of thing. Again, networking. Like I have a billboard up right now. I have my name on a placemat at the Mount Bethel Diner. I tack up some business cards here and there. But I just get out in the community. I just just get out there. Do the right thing. Go to charitable events and things of that nature. Just make yourself known. Get out there in front of people and know that you have a service to provide and you can help them. That simple.
And that works with any business. Right? The number one highest closing rate is always going to be word of mouth and referrals.
Yeah.
And they have to get to know you first, right? So if you want to live inside of a cave and want to grow a business, it's not going to work. You've got to get out there. You've got to have that connective nature, because the more people become connected to their phones and the virtual digital distance that happens with that, the more we yearn as humans for face-to-face.
Yeah.
It's so important. That's why video is so popular. That's why video is so powerful.
Absolutely.
Because it feels like it's almost a replacement, like a half replacement versus just a
you can get the same, you can yield the same result without going out to a social event. You can sit on your recliner and your sweatpants and see, hey, there's Russ Horn on video and he's talking to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I like that in-person connection. That's me.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, you're definitely right. That's, that's where it's at is, the video connection, the social media and things of that nature in today's world.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Rusty, I want to bring this full circle back around. I know people that were listening, they were hoping to get some tips on how to get into the real estate world. We dropped a couple of pieces. Like I mentioned before, Bigger Pockets, excellent place to start.
Definitely.
Biggerpockets.com. They have just an incredible amount of material to satiate your curiosity and get you in. There's so many different strategies you can get into real estate. What my bigger point here is that, like I said before, if we can figure it out, if I can figure it out, anybody can figure this out. It's not that hard.
Coming up with a plan. That's it right there.
Have an objective, and say, look, I want to do this by this time. Who do I need in my life to get there? And you're going to need to find somebody or some way to teach you how to get there.
Right.
Because you don't know now. I didn't know that.
Absolutely.
I had no clue.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, let's do that. So I say Bigger Pockets, great way to start there. There's a lot of strategies to getting in the real estate.
Yes.
You might want to look around and see what kind of market you want to be in. Is there a lot of rentals in that area? That kind of thing. And then the rest of the pieces start to fall together once you get your shit together, right? All of a sudden things just happen.
100%.
You find, I do suggest finding a good property manager that's close by, that can manage properties. Because one thing that was one of my rules is I will not be out there constantly maintaining these houses. I do not want the phone calls. I'm not dealing with tenants. And I said, if I have to be, I'm not in this. That's just what it is. And people think it's funny because I'd say out of those 60 some units, I probably have only stepped foot in maybe 5. I've never even seen the other ones. I don't care. I don't, someone else handles all of that.
Sure.
That's when you're actually a business owner. Because you're not actually out there turning knobs and fixing toilets and all that kind of stuff. When you're not doing that, it's like, okay, this becomes an asset, an actual business. But so if you're looking to do that, make sure you're clear on what you want to do.
Absolutely.
Get educated.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I actually enjoy that stuff. I can't say I truly enjoy the 11 o'clock PM phone call though. My shower's flooded and there's a pipe clog, whatever. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it now because it's a learning experience. So like you get to, learn about people, how they operate, how they react. You get to learn more about your investment. You may have a problem with one utility that you now learn that problem and another problem inside your property that you didn't know. Yeah. So with that firsthand experience, you're learning about your investment, right? Mm-hmm. So right now I do enjoy that. And it does save me money because right now I'm in the building phase. So I am able to take that profit. So my rental income, I don't touch. I don't touch a penny of it. It goes in the account. As soon as I'm saved up enough for another property, boom, go buy another one. Yep. I don't touch it. I don't live off it.
So let's just stay there for a second.
Yeah.
This is when it gets really beautiful.
Question. Yeah.
That is a beautiful thing. Listeners out there, once you get a few properties lining up, you're going to see that account, if you bought them right and managed them right, see that account growing. Pretty soon there's a nut in there. Yeah. A nut that you did not have to work for.
Correct.
And then you take that nut and buy another house.
Yes.
So basically it's free money to buy houses that produce 100%. Cash flow. That's when it's incredible.
Yeah.
When you 100%. See that happening, you're like, dude, how is this possible? Yeah. Every single month, keep this in mind, listeners, every single month, your tenants pay their rent, which pays down your mortgage note.
Yep.
So every single month you become wealthier. Yep. You own more of that house and you didn't have to do anything but provide it.
Yes.
And maintain it, of course.
Correct.
You do that on multiples, you do it at scale, it's a game changer.
Oh, it's and eventually change your life.
And eventually, that mortgage note is paid off by your tenant.
Yeah.
And you own a house free and clear with all of the tax benefits and the appreciation that happened over that time. Now, again, you've got to be responsible for the unit. And in your case, you like to be more hands-on. For me, that was never an option.
And I have clients that are the same way. Like, hey, listen, like I want to invest. This is where I want to go, but I don't want to be on the ride most of the time to get there. Like I want to start the car, put the money in, and I want you to take it to somebody else and give them the keys. Like that's what I have clients that want to do the same thing, and I will get to that point. So my goal personally is to, again, gain all this experience. I just turned 30. So, I want to get all this experience and knowledge as much as I possibly can. I want to build this up. And then at some point in time, hopefully I have some kids that I can, throw them out to the wolves and, see who comes home, like
give them the snowmobile.
Yeah, exactly.
Road.
And get it to the point where I can build up something for them, and pass that on. And at that point, maybe they'll be running it and they'll be taking care of it. Yeah. So like going back to what you had said, my grandfather always told me, as long as I can remember, I'll get you anything you want. I'll buy you anything I want, but it'd be in your best interest to not let me. Do it yourself, buy it yourself, build it yourself. Because once you get a taste of that, it's hard. It's hard. You don't want to put the time, put the work in. And that was it right there is top 5 best advice I've ever been given. He said, do not let me give you anything. I'll do it. And it was almost like a test for him to see if I would come back and say, oh, can you just give this to me? And I never did. Yeah. I never did. And that was the best thing that I could have ever done.
And how did that impact your life, that lesson?
It changed it. It definitely changed it. So it just made me hungrier. It made me, I guess it painted a clearer picture for me to understand what it takes to get somewhere and how most people, the majority of people, they don't do it. Yeah. They just look for easy street, it just changed everything for me. And I could elaborate on that for probably hours, but yeah, it definitely did. So I take that money that I make through my rentals and I just put it away. I don't touch it. I don't live off it. And he always said too, the people that invest and get a couple rentals and start spending the profit are the ones who probably end up losing the property one day because they buy stuff, they don't reinvest it, they don't make the right moves, then they have to sell the property. So it's like they just did like a 180. So I don't do that. And that's like a fear of mine. I'm like, man, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to do that. Like I
can't spend that money.
Yeah. Right. So I save up as soon as I get to that point, boom, I'm on the prowl for another property. And I always am, but yeah, so, again, so hopefully I can, accumulate way more, and I can, build it up and I'll get in that position where, hey, you know what? I want to wake up, do my thing. I want to do like a 9 to 5, and I can maybe pawn off some of that responsibility of running those rentals, kind of like you do now, have a property manager, but right now I just want to kind of utilize that money and, try and reinvest it,
I love it, Dude, we could talk all day. Zach, do you have any other questions for him before we wrap up?
Not really. Actually, I do want to know, how do you invest in your first ever property? Because I'm over here sitting, I'm like, all right, what's like the first step?
Yeah. So that right there in a nutshell is kind of like, I guess you could say, like my story. So my first ever property, again, dropped out of college twice, had student loan, had student debt, I had to pay off. So when I say I hounded, I mean, that's an understatement. I begged my grandfather for an opportunity. I was like, listen, I just want a personal loan, charge me interest. I don't care if it's 10%. I don't care what it is. That I will prove to you that I can do it and I'm capable. So honestly, it took about, I'm going to say about a year. Honestly, I'd have to go back and really think about it, but it was probably about a year of me just begging for that opportunity. So I said, listen, give me a loan, pick the interest rate. I'm going to buy a property. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to rehab it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to pay you back your money with interest, and I will pay off my student loan, whether it's in payments or if I can wipe the whole thing clean at once, I don't know. So he did. So finally, I bought a property. He charged me prime interest rate, which is, very fair. So I bought a property. I think I paid, I don't know, 60 or 70,000 for it.
With his money.
With his money.
Yes.
Yep. And I was paying making the principal and interest payment every month.
Yep.
So I got in the property, renovated the property, sold the property. Fortunately made enough off that one sale where I wiped all my debt clean.
How much are we talking?
30 and change. Nice. Yeah, it was around 30,000 and change. So I think the total profit was up towards 50. And mind you, at that point in time, I had my dad involved with me too. He was kind of like, I got to oversee and make sure he's doing the right thing, So he got a little piece of the pie, for that.
As he should.
Yeah. Right. So then it got to the point where I did it again and again and again. I did like 2 or 3 more times, and I was like, I don't need anybody's money. Yeah. I got my own. So now I'm getting rid of partners, So my dad's like, oh, come on, I want to be involved in whatever. And we still get involved on stuff and projects and whatnot. But it got to the point where I was financially free. I was on my own. Yeah. I had my own money. And then I started buying rentals. So I would go buy one, fix it up, make it look real good, fix everything that had to be fixed, go to the bank, borrow some money, get a 60 to 70% mortgage on it, pull most of my money back out, go find another one. Right. And I just kept going and going and going. And, but now again, it got to the point where inventory is so dried up, that opportunity is very far and few between.
Yeah. But it's going to change soon.
It will. Absolutely.
Everything I'm hearing is going to be one heck of a buying spree coming up.
Yeah. I
agree. If you're listening, guys, get prepared.
Yeah. Save some money. Yep. Put it in the bank, not on the mattress, because that does you no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a buddy, actually, short story. I had a buddy who I kept telling, cash is king, cash is king. Well, I never really thought he meant like under the mattress, And so he's like, oh, well, I saved up like 10 grand and blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it's got to be in the bank. Like you got to have a paper trail here. Like you got to figure this out, And he's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, the bank, you got to prove where the money's come from. He's like, well, I worked for it, but I would just cash in my paycheck. I'm like, why would you do that? So once we got cleared up, he was on a good path. But yeah, it's funny. So when people say cash is king, it's in the bank. It's cash in the bank. Because when you go to get a mortgage, you got to be legit. You got to have everything, all your ducks in a row. So
I want to just sidebar slightly on that one there. Yeah. That in the last 2.5 years, we've seen the erosion of the value of buying power within a dollar. Correct. I don't want to get too heady with this, but just want to keep it simple. So if that same guy put $10,000 underneath his mattress 2.5 years ago, when he brought it out now to use it, he would have half the buying power of it.
Absolutely.
So it's only worth $5,000. It's still $10,000, but it only buys $5,000
for people to understand.
It is. It's crazy,
but
right?
It's reality.
It's absolute reality. And with real estate, it tracks. Real estate historically has always kept with inflation.
Yeah.
Right. With that being the case, that $10,000 might be $15,000 now, or even more, maybe even $20,000 now. And you're still buying the same amount of goods with that 20 that you could have bought with the 10 before. That's the part about economics that most don't get. They just see the numbers.
Yeah.
They wonder why, the car that they could have bought for $25,000 last year is now $50,000. Sure. And it's like, no, the car doesn't cost more to build. It's the value of the dollar has disappeared through inflation.
Yeah.
Right. So now it takes twice the amount of money to buy the same goods and services.
Absolutely.
So so that's the point again. You got to keep that money moving forward, and real estate's such a great vehicle for that.
It is. And while real estate can be complicated, it's actually quite simple. Yeah. It's create a plan, get yourself a network where you have, a realtor, maybe a financial planner for yourself, a lender, and create a plan, like literally, like just map it out, get it on paper and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now. This is what it's going to take to get here. And, every 30 days, just revisit it. It's that simple.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be hard or complex. It's like anything else. You pick a plan and you just stick to it. You got to put in the work, put in the time, and you will get there. It's just, you got to do it.
And a fast track, if you guys want a fast track, so you don't have to go through all the broken bones and bloody noses, find a mentor.
Yeah.
Find somebody that's already doing what you're doing or want to do, and be like, dude, how can I help?
Yeah.
How can I add value to your life? And in return, can you teach me what you did?
Yeah.
If it's money, if it's time, if it's whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can just teach me? Because once you see somebody do it, you see it coming to life. And that's what happened for me. I was so blessed to have Scott come into my life.
100%.
And he's like, hey, we're going to do some deals together. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I look up to this man. He's like, let's be partners. And I'm like, everything exploded at that point.
Yeah.
Because I got to be inside track. Without that, I'd be further back on the trail.
Yeah.
And we started doing deals at 50-50. And it was like, that's cool by me. Like, I'm here to learn, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the difference. So I was willing to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And walk in and be like, man, I'm going to get just my ass handed to me here because this is not my world. But I was willing to take that.
Yeah. You got to be willing.
Because now it's not the case.
Yeah.
I still constantly learning, but now because I was willing to be the dumbest one in the room.
Yeah.
Now I can sit back.
Most people aren't willing to sit in that chair.
Exactly right.
They're not. And that's mistake number one.
Yep.
That's mistake number one. And I gotta, reflect on that. If I have tons of influential people in my life and mentors. And when I break it down, I can't help but think that, my grandfather and Ron have probably been the two most influential, because it's such a broad range of lessons in business that affect every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And once you have those people and you can learn of things to do, things not to do, it's that's a game changer too.
It is. It's like having guardrails.
Yeah. I would have rather paid $30,000 to sit in on those powwows than $30,000 at East Stroudsburg and Northampton Community College.
100%.
Because I learned way more, and I apply way more of those lessons, those ride-alongs in the car. We're going here, going there, talking to this person, that person, than I would. Like I said, I'd rather put my 30 grand there.
100%. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Zach, do you have any questions?
No, just you want to shout yourself out, Instagram, anywhere people can find you.
Yeah. So Instagram, Russell Horn Realtor. Facebook, it's Russell Horn Realtor as well. And my cell phone's out there. Heck, I'm on a billboard, so my cell phone's not hard to find.
Yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate you, Russell, coming on and sharing your journey so far.
Absolutely.
I love your story, especially the snowmobile story when you jacked over top of that road.
I rode 4-wheelers in the creeks and all kinds of stuff. So we could, like I said, we'd sit for hours.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today.
I appreciate having me.
And sharing your stories. So everybody out there, hopefully you got some value from the stories told today. And don't be afraid to reach out to Russell. He's got a lot of good stuff. He can definitely help you. I know he's a man that loves to give and loves to help.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you listening each week, and we'll chat with you next week.